of food. Today I have my crock pot out. And you know why I'm excited about that? Because we're putting a whole chicken into this crock pot. But why, you wonder? We're having chicken for dinner? No, we're going to make Italian wedding soup, one of my favorite soups. So what we'll be doing today is we'll be cooking the chicken down so that we can remove it away from the bones and the carcass tomorrow. And then tomorrow we'll actually make this soup. So what is Italian wedding soup and why am I so excited about it? All right, so Italian wedding soup has obviously chicken and chicken stock in it, but it also has other ingredients. It has these tiny little meatballs that we'll be making, and it has tiny little pasta. I found these little baby bow ties. They're almost so small you hardly notice that they're a bow tie. They're called, bow ties are called farfallis. These are called farfaliettes. They're really sweet. All right, so what else does this soup have in it besides chicken and pasta? It also has vegetables in it. So it'll have some carrots in it and celery. And also, it will have a green component. So most Italian wedding soups are made with escarole, but escarole is not readily available where I live. So we are substituting for kale. And kale is very abundant where we live. And so I've tried it before. It comes out wonderful in the soup. So we're looking forward to this. I'll show you what my chicken looks like when it's done in the crock pot. And I'll try to take some photos along the way. And then tomorrow we'll video the actual making of the soup and all the components that go inside the soup aside from the chicken. So it's going to take 2 days to make this soup, but we're going to make enough that we can freeze some and have it later. I've even shipped this soup up to my daughter because she loves it so much. Anyway, thanks for watching For the Love of Food. Hello and welcome For the Love of Food. We're back and we're going to make those tiny little meatballs that are going to go in our Italian wedding soup. So what I'm starting with is some ground turkey. We're going to be adding in some cheese, an egg, some salt and pepper and parsley, and of course a little bit of breadcrumb. And what we'll do is we'll mix that all up and then we'll be back when we've got them rolled. They should just be small little meatballs and we're going to fry them up in this fry pan behind me. So I'll see you back at the fry pan. Okay, we'll see you in a minute. So as you can see here, my first batch of meatballs is cooking up and you can get an idea about the size of them. I'm holding these on a teaspoon, right? So it should just fill the spoon. If you wanted to make them even a little bit smaller, you can. I think that this is a good size, but if you have real little ones that are going to be eating this soup and they might want a smaller meatball, you can see some of mine, I try to make them all about the same size, but some of them are a little smaller. And I'm going to cook these until they feel firm because they're going to be going in our soup and I don't want them to fall apart inside the soup. So I want them to actually hold their shape and their form. Now, why am I doing them in batches? Welcome back. For the Love of Food, we're getting ready to assemble all of the ingredients for our soup. So I want to show you what they actually are. Remember we cooked off that whole chicken the other day? So I picked it all from the bone and I did that the day before and it's just been sitting in that bowl. I also made the meatballs. Remember we had those wonderful little meatballs? I wanted to show you how those look and how those came out. Those are turkey meatballs. We also made some stock out of a whole bunch of leftover vegetables and chicken that we had laying around. And we did that right out of the same crock pot where we cooked that chicken. I also pulled some stock from my freezer and poured it into a mason jar. So we're going to be mixing the two together. As you notice, they're very different colors. This one is a darker color because there's a lot of onion stock and other things in it. This one is lighter because it was made with mainly just chicken. We have vegetables. So we have carrots. Welcome back For the Love of Food. You can see here that we've got our vegetable mix started in our stock pot. I'm going to throw in a couple of bay leaves for good measure. I always throw in bay leaves when I make a soup. I think they add a lot to it. All I did was put a little bit of olive oil in the bottom of this pan, and I'm going to let these vegetables just kind of cook down and turn translucent before we add anything else in. I'm going to keep them at a medium to medium-low heat. I don't want anything sticking to the bottom of my pot. All right, we'll be back. All right, we're back. So our carrots and our celery and our onions are starting to become translucent. So I'm going to add back in that chicken. I'll have to edit that out. I'm going to add back in the chicken. There we go. Get that chicken all added in there. And we're going to move that around. And as you can see, I cooked the chicken until it fell off the bone, but I didn't cook it until it was dry because it's going to sit in the soup for quite some time. So it was at about 150 degrees when I stopped cooking it. We all know chicken should be cooked up to 160 or more, but it will in this pan, in this stock. So adding the chicken in, and then we can go ahead and start adding in some of our other components, especially our stock. So let's go ahead and pour our stock in. I'm going to put the darker stock in first, and then we can add in our lighter stock. There we go. We can stir that around, and as you can see, you get the idea of how the soup is beginning. That's going to be our base. We're going to turn the heat up to about a medium high and bring it to a boil. Once that boils, then we'll add in our meatballs next, our pasta, and our kale. We'll be back. Thanks for watching. So here you can see I've added in everything with the exception of my pasta. So the pasta we're going to add in last. And the way that I'm going to do the pasta is I'm going to keep the pasta based on serving size so that it doesn't absorb up all the liquid in the pot. We're just going to let this simmer on low for the next hour, hour and a half, and then it'll be ready for that pasta. We'll be